guys, and welcome to the Chosen League podcast, where fire sports content is the name of the game. I'm your host, Devon, and in today's episode, I'm going to be talking to you guys about last night's game, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati drops to 5-5, while the Ravens move up to 8-3. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. But before we get into that, make sure you once again like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload an episode. Let's get into it. So first off, I'm gonna start off with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. These two guys, these two individuals are inseparable when they're on the field. Once they're locked in, you got trouble. But the thing about Jamar Chase was he was getting dominated by the Ravens defense. He only had 11 to 12 yards, one touchdown. So he's their X factor. He's their number one receiver. He's the go to guy Joe Burrow loves to go to. I mean, these guys know each other so well because they played together in college. But sadly, it just wasn't just Jamar Chase's night. Joe Burrow, on the other hand, dealing with a hand injury that took him out the game real early. You know, second quarter, he didn't come back in. They put in the backup. And you could tell that Joe Burrow's hand was bothering him because it bothered him once after he got tackled. Because once he got tackled, he landed on his hand. And that was in the red zone, I believe, after they scored that little touchdown they had. And that was Joe Burrow's first touchdown. And he had 100 plus yards. And he was just, messing with his hand and it bothered him. And then on the sideline, as he's trying to get himself going, get that mobility back in his hand, trying to throw the ball, as he goes in motion to throw the ball, he immediately drops the ball. And you could tell that this was serious. They took him back to the locker room, and he never returned after that. And that's when things began to go downhill for Cincinnati. They put in their backup Jake Browning. Jake Browning, so far in that first game, watching him play, uh, he made some he made some good reads. He was getting down the field, you know, with his passing. The Ravens off, I mean, not Ravens, Bengals offense. Their run game was really good. Joe Mixon getting through the guard, that open hole where he got through the guard and tackle, and just exploded. And he looked like he was about to score. If he would have maintained his balance, he would have definitely got a touchdown. But also, the Bengals' offensive line really didn't do a good job of protecting the quarterback. You know, Jake Browning, like I said, he made some good plays, but a lot of times they had to settle for field goals. They settled for a lot of field goals because Ravens' defense was dominating. Number 0, Smith, for defensive player for the Baltimore Ravens. They were having their way. They were taking Jamar Chase out of the equation. They were not going to let Jamar Chase get comfortable, and they weren't going to allow Jake Browning to get comfortable. And he did pretty good for his first game. And Cincinnati moving forward, I'm eager to see what Jake Browning has in the tank. Like I gotta see him more often. What is he gonna look like these next few games? Because the season is close to being over. You only got a couple more games left, and then that's it. But the major loss of Joe Burrow really hurt this team because, like I said, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow locked in, and the thing about it was T. Higgins wasn't playing, so both teams, Ravens and the Bengals, they had players that couldn't play. They were out, and but Joe Burrow, that's a tough one. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens, I've already spoke about their defense, how they dominated, but I'm gonna go more in depth about Lamar Jackson. I'm also gonna talk a little bit about Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, long story short, it was a it was an ending for him. After that pass to that complete pass, it was it. He hurt his ankle. He's likely gonna be out for the season. Now that's a loss for the Ravens because that's Lamar Jackson's go-to guy, but also Lamar Jackson has other weapons. 51-yard pass to Odell Beckham Jr. That was a big play. Rashad Bateman on the last play scoring a touchdown, which put the icing on the cake for the Ravens. Zay Flowers getting down the field. Nelson Aguilar got a touchdown. He did a somersault as he went into the end zone. You know, it's just the showboat, the spirit, the competitive nature players. And the Ravens offensively, their run game in the first quarter struggled a bit. Like they got one big run on the first play with Gus Edwards, and then after that, like towards like 5 minutes in the first quarter, they started to struggle a bit. Lamar Jackson started to get got the teammates going. He was making good passes, comfortable in the pocket. But then that ankle came about because we already know about Lamar Jackson, his ankle. He's injured his ankle before, but it really bothered him in the game because you could tell if you I could tell in the game when he literally was trying to he was in the pocket. It was on the third down. He is in the pocket. Then he has to run out of the pocket. Then it's like, I don't want to run because of my ankle. So he wasn't really doing too much running. So he runs, stops, thinking he's gonna pass, and then all of a sudden he just goes out of bounds. And what caused that? What caused that ankle to him to reactivate that ankle was the defensive player from Cincinnati Bengals. Lamar is running with the ball. This is in the first half. He's running with the ball, and then he ends up going out of bounds. And his upper body is on the ground. His you know the defense player has his legs in the air tackling him, and he's still holding him while Lamar's on the ground. I'm like let him go. And then after that, they take Lamar Jackson out. They have the on the sideline. If when you're watching the game, they have the little podium, the little tent where they go in and they check on the player. So I'm watching it and I'm like, and then I see Lamar Jackson heading towards the locker room. I'm like, oh no. So then they put in the backup quarterback for like one or two plays, and then Lamar Jackson is back in the game. So I was like, okay. Lamar Jackson flat out dominated, having 200 plus yards, 264 yards, passing yards, and the rest of the game was history because they won that game. And Gus Edwards did his thing. Odell eventually went out, but he re-aggravated his shoulder, but it wasn't nothing serious. So Odell should be fine. But offensively moving forward, like what hurt both teams in this game for the Ravens, a lot of holding calls. They got away with holding until it eventually caught up with them. Cincinnati with their penalties that hurt them, delay of games and pass interference. And overall, I wish the best to both teams. And I'm wishing Joe Burrow a speedy recovery. Hope he comes back stronger because this isn't this isn't the last of Joe Burrow. I want you guys to let me know in the comments what you think about Joe Burrow moving forward. What do you think about Cincinnati moving forward? Um, the Baltimore Ravens moving forward. What are your thoughts on Lamar Jackson? I know there's Ravens fans out there. I know there's Cincinnati Bengals fans out there. I want to know what you guys are thinking. Because moving forward, their backup quarterback for the Bengals, what do you expect from him? How will he respond after this loss? Like, what will he, what will his performance be 2 or 3 games from now? That is all for today's episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload an episode. I'm Devin, and I'm signing off. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest.